wanted to just begin today, and I was going to do this anyway, by recounting a bit of an anecdote that's totally relevant to our current situation. This back in 2014, I was president and CEO of a private BC company called Newcrest Minerals. And we had developed under my tenure what I thought was just about the strongest gold and soil in gold and silver in soil geochemical anomaly that I'd ever seen in my career. And this little company, Newcrest, was held by a couple of offshore guys, an Australian, and the other one was a fellow who lives in Switzerland. They were big company guys, and they were, quite frankly, fed up. They were frustrated. They had spent over $2 million developing this beautiful-looking anomaly, but they wanted to divest it. And it was called Keough, the property. It's up across the valley from Red Chris's rich, then Imperial Metals, rich Red Chris mine. So they set me the task of trying to sell the property, trying to sell the company to anybody who would buy it. And this was 2014. We shopped that thing to everybody, the majors, to Antofagasta, to Imperial, who you would have thought would have an interest given their existing mine at the time nearby, to a lot of the retail crowd, Haywoods, Canacords. There was no interest. You could not give it away, and those guys would have given it to you for $100,000 just to bail out. They had no interest in exploration. So I said, you're nuts, guys, to really try to flog this thing. Just park the company and go away for a couple of years till the industry comes back. It always does. So I worked myself out of a job that was paying me $15,000 a month at the time, and we shut the company down in December 2014. Private company, remember? And we walked away. Well, fast forward 16 months, and in April 2016, the gold lights came on in the gold space all of a sudden, just like that. Not for base metals at the time, just gold. So I went back to these guys and I said, look, you want to get it public? Let's do it, a reverse takeover or something. So we started that process. And pretty much 18, 20 months after being unable to give that property away in 2014, over a long weekend in July 2016, we raised $2.5 million from a cast of people and institutions right around the world, even a Russian oligarch, if you can believe it, Ross Beatty, over a long weekend in July. We raised all that money for something we couldn't give away 2 years before. Well, we took that company public ultimately as GT Gold, and we sold it to Newmont last year, which was a huge payoff for $400 million. And the Keough property has now got on it the Saddle, South, and North deposits, which, depending on the cutoff you use, it holds like 25 million ounces of gold equivalent in the ground. It's going to be a long life rich mine, right? So here we are, fast forward to our situation. A lot of other companies out here at the minute, the markets have been ugly lately. I thought we had a floor with Evergold at 10 to 12 cents. No, it went down to 8. But the market will come back. And in our little company, we've got a lot of value. I'll just tell you what the value is. The value is essentially in one big zone called Golden Line. And on the Golden Line zone, which was held by Newmont, funny enough, back in the early 80s, they drilled a broad epithermal style zone at surface, so it's not deep. It's currently been drilled along off and on about 1,000 meters of strike. It's got true widths, the system, of 150 meters. Newmont made a mistake, though. They only drilled wide-spaced holes, and they only drilled a single hole per pad, which was a really stupid thing to do. Maybe I shouldn't use that term. Anyway, it was not wise to do that. These epithermal systems often are fault-bounded or associated with structures. They are often very large, and within them, you often find high-grade domains. So we struggled a bit. We took Evergold public in late 2019, and we struggled our first year or two. There have been a number of struggles I won't bore you the details with, but weather, labor issues last year. long and short of it is, at the close of last year's program, we delivered the highest grades we've ever achieved on the property in the final 3 holes. Some of it you can see in the cover slide. We basically drilled genuinely high-grade gold, silver, highest over 40 grams of gold per ton, 950 grams per ton silver, a lot of zinc, a lot of lead. And we think we figured it out. And last year's program was cut short because of COVID, right? The driller we had contracted for the full summer lost all his crews for the second half of the summer. They gave us 28 days drilling, and we discovered the high-grade domain, which we've modeled. You can go to the website. You can see we've got some beautiful modeling. You can circle it. It's very real. And it's very similar to some of the material, Thesis Gold, and some of the other players next to us have been drilling. So we're going to go back in. We announced just a short while ago a new program. They were focused this summer on the high-grade element. We're going to try to find and follow that initial high-grade domain. And if any of you have followed Great Bear, for example, huge success in northwestern Ontario, go look at what they achieved there. They had the major LP fault structure, along which they were, over time, developed a lot of broad intercepts, always generally encompassing these high-grade domains. And you got to drill hundreds of thousands of meters typically when you get into these stories. And we're just starting here. This thing's had in total maybe 6,000 or 7,000 meters. But it's got like 2,700 meters of strike length as we've defined it with the geochemistry. It's been drilled, as I mentioned, along about 1 kilometer. It's widely spaced drilling. The surprise of last year's high-grade discovery at the close of the season was that even though we had a sense the system was going up in strength with depth, and it does, that high-grade domain actually comes to surface right between the historical drilling. So there's all kinds of potential right there on surface for high-grade, always encompassed by these broad kind of open pit styles. So this thing going forward, the GL1 main zone, as we put a lot more work into it, could evolve toward a combination open pit, a high-grade underground. And if any of you know what Thesis or Benchmark is up to up there, it's exciting what they're doing. I would argue GL1 main zone as a single zone is the biggest thing going up in the Toodoggin mining camp at the current time. It's bigger in terms of strike length known than anything they've got. They have a lot smaller, more fragmented zones. They may develop into bigger ones too, and what they have is really great, but there's a lot of value in this, and I think this summer it's all about proving up or demonstrating more of that value. So comes back to it though, it's up to the market to recognize it's been an ugly half year. It's always possible you could put out terrific results this summer and the market will just laugh them off, right? We don't know, but we do have 2.2 million right now. We don't need money. We're not raising money ahead of this work. We're going to do this work and we should be on the ground about mid-June. We'll be drilling, hopefully finish our initial pass of high-grade focused holes by early July, mid-July. If we get really strong visual intercepts, we're going to announce that now that we have confidence in what really runs up there. And then we will expand the program, financing allowing, and of course markets being receptive beyond that. So this summer at Evergold is all about GL1 main zone, drilling high grade. That's what we're going to do. And I've got 2 minutes left, so I will just scan ahead quickly just to give you an idea of some of the local. I guess you're familiar with the so-called Golden Horseshoe now, right? We're over, a lot of people don't recognize that the Golden Triangle over on the left side of the image there, it's also linked to the Toodoggin region over on the right by the so-called Stikine terrain. This is back arc volcanics, etc., maybe 170, 200 million years old, and it's all the same rock. So if you've heard of Bruce Jack and KSM and everything that's going on over on the left, well, the Toodoggin is the same rocks, well-known former high-grade mine camp. This is just an overview of what we have in terms, this is a perspective view. The blue is the silver and the yellow and gold is the gold. and there is a lot of it. This shows you the 2.7 kilometer strike length. We've started to model some of those blobs underground that you can see there. This just different perspective view. There's usually some complexity to these systems. I will just briefly mention that sometimes it's not a question of the goodies going straight down. Often they go down at an angle within the plane of the overall system. So you can check out these figures. It's all on the internet. You could come see me at the booth afterwards if you wish as well. It's a genuine system, beautiful system, lovely high grades, gold and silver. I've got some rock samples on display over there too, and we're just starting to scratch the surface at the current time. So well placed. We've got about 74 million shares out and fully diluted about 107 million currently. And we're all qualified people. So thanks very much, and I hope to see you at the booth.